Hello, welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Thoughts. So, as you can tell by my hat, it's time for another Star Wars video. Today's topic, Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi is an anthology series about two different characters, Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku. And we're going to go over my thoughts on it. So this won't be a play-by-play, this will just kind of go over some highlights, what I liked, what I didn't like, and we'll go from there. So, what I really liked about this series was Count Dooku's story arc. I love seeing Count Dooku as a Jedi before he fell to the dark side, because something I've always wondered is Qui-Gon, probably one of the wisest of all Jedi. How could someone like Count Dooku be his master? But you see how, again, Dooku, in a way, kind of like Qui-Gon, saw the failings of the Republic. I love their first mission together, where you see young Dooku and Qui-Gon rescue the Senator's son, and you see who they thought were the bad guys really weren't. I mean, kidnapping is not something I really condone, but given the conditions they were living in, you can see that the Senate that they were supposed to protect was not all innocent. And you see Dooku filled with rage, about to kill the senator. But he does it essentially out of empathy, or because he felt so bad for the citizens of that planet. And that's just one thing I really love, is that it's a slow transition. It's not that you really see Dooku go from a very good Jedi to a corrupt Sith Lord. And in the little bit of time they had, they did a really good job of it. They did a fantastic job, in my opinion. And I loved Dooku and Qui-Gon's chemistry. And also, I love seeing how Mace Windu, again, is shown to be at fault. Tales of the Jedi made my topic about Mace Windu age really well. Where you see Mace Windu kind of sell Dooku out. He's like, oh, I follow the rules. I'm blaming you for getting that senator killed. And you can see, again, Dooku not only doesn't trust the Senate, he sees the corruption in the Jedi itself. And, Mace Windu offers that, oh, I'll speak to the council on your behalf. Yeah, what is with Mace Windu's words, causing people to lose faith in the Jedi? It's always Mace Windu. Ahsoka, Dooku. Hashtag Mace Windu was at fault. And I love seeing Liam Neeson back as Qui-Gon too. When you see Qui-Gon as an adult in the episode 1 timeline. Liam Neeson just always kills it as Qui-Gon, and one of the few actors to return for the Clone Wars series. So, it was no surprise he returned for Tales of the Jedi. But finally seeing Dooku and Qui-Gon together, and seeing Dooku's last goodbye to Qui-Gon just really meant a lot. I loved seeing how much Qui-Gon really meant to Dooku. And essentially how his death was one of the final straws that broke the camel's back. I mean, not completely, because he was certainly doing stuff for Palpatine before his death, but it just really pushed him further along. And it's amazing to me how in 3 less than 30-minute episodes, how they captured Dooku's story arc so well. It was just... Honestly, if they could do a spin-off of this, I would love to see a whole series about Jedi Dooku. Expanding on the story, seeing more about, him as a Jedi, seeing more of that transition. They captured my attention just that little bit, so... Again, Disney, do more. Do more of that series, of the Dooku series, please. And Ahsoka's story was interesting, too. One thing I loved was you see more of Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship, and you see what a good master Anakin really was to Ahsoka. She passes that test where she fights the simulator battle droids, no problem, but Anakin doesn't want Ahsoka to just pass. Anakin really took his responsibility as master seriously. So he's like, you need to be ready for anything, not just battle droids. So he has her train against the 501st, practicing deflecting their blasters. And I kind of start to realize that's how she survived Order 66. One thing that was always interesting about Ahsoka is that she was one of the only Jedi, other than Yoda, that we see really just fight on the clones head on. Obi-Wan survived by luck, whereas all these other Jedi, they get gunned down like that. And you wonder how Ahsoka happens to be the one to deflect them. Well, it's answered. Anakin's training. Anakin, who always kind of went against the Jedi Order, kind of like Dooku in a way. Parallel there, right? But anyway, how Anakin always went against the Order for what he thought was right, and he kind of did that here in a little bit. He thought that, hey, Ahsoka needs to be ready by whatever means necessary. So he was the only one to go against the Jedi Order a little bit and do this extra test where she would actually practice fighting clones. In fact, the very clones she had to, face off in Order 66. So it was really great seeing that story. And I love the next episode where we really see her and Senator Organa. We didn't really see as much of that relationship in Clone Wars, so it was really great seeing that relationship at Padme's funeral. One, I like that Ahsoka went to the funeral, because Padme was someone else who meant a lot to Ahsoka, who was also a mentor to Ahsoka. So it made sense that she showed up. But I like seeing how Ahsoka and Organa kind of hooked up, like, professionally speaking, to fight the rebellion. Or not the rebellion, the Empire. And how you can see in Rebels how the two are working together already. You see that transition. And I love seeing how people had faith in the Empire, and they learned that, hey, the Empire is not this good organization you think it is. So overall, I really love the series. There were some things that didn't work for me. I'll be honest, the first episode with baby Ahsoka wasn't my favorite, was probably my least favorite of the 6. It was interesting. We saw her as a baby in her home village, using the Force to calm that tiger thingy. Meh. I mean, didn't really see a lot from there, in my opinion. So, yeah, that was kind of like my only criticism. And also, I guess it was a little disjointed only because they went in chronological order. So you had an Ahsoka episode, 3 Dooku episodes, and 2 more Ahsoka episodes. Part of me wonders if they should have done like a season for each character. Do a season for Ahsoka, do a season for Dooku, do a season for Mace Windu, maybe change my mind about him not being a dick. Do a season for Jar Jar. Just kidding there. But I guess it's called Tales of the Jedi. They didn't know if they're going to get more than one season, so I kind of get why they did it. But honestly, too, part of me wonders if they did the series for potential spin-offs. But overall, honestly, I don't have too many criticisms of the Tales of the Jedi. In all, it's a great, phenomenal series that really expands on a lot of these stories, where you really get more background into what's going on. And just overall, it's a great series. One thing I noticed with Disney Star Wars in general is that whenever there's kind of a storyline they just have, an idea they just have, it tends to work out better than, Obi-Wan's a popular character, let's give him a series. Boba Fett's a popular character, let's give him a series. We need to do 3 main saga movies. And then the results aren't always the best. I mean, I liked Obi-Wan, but there were definitely some issues there. And Book of Boba Fett was disjointed, and the sequel trilogy was the sequel trilogy. Whereas I feel like Tales of the Jedi, they just had a story they wanted to tell, and they told it. And I think, in my opinion, that's where Disney does best with Star Wars. When there's a story they want to tell, and tell it. Kind of why Rogue One is my favorite of the Disney Star Wars movies. So again, overall, Tales of the Jedi, great series. I would give it a 9.567814. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment. What did you like about Tales of the Jedi? And lastly, justice for fives. May the Force be with you. And have a bat-tastic day.